Yes, sir. I don't know how I feel about that. Last night took a L, but tonight I bounce back. Wake up. What's going on, everybody? Cullen the Great here. Welcome to Cullen's Music Corner. Today we're going to be talking about Big Sean's new album, Detroit 2. This is a follow-up to his mixtape, Detroit, or which was, in his eyes, an album in its own. He thought that the mixtape did a really good job of helping define who he was, and it really created a pathway for Big Sean to kind of go down. He's always represented his hometown. This album was a great way to pay homage to not only his original mixtape, but to the city he came from as well. The album was very well put together when it came to production. It sounded good, it was crisp, it was clean. Is Big Sean, so he's gonna have the top of the line engineers, producers, marketing teams to help get his music out there. So obviously it's gonna excel in the production category. However, everything else on this album I felt was very so-so. There wasn't anything that kind of blew me out of the water. There wasn't anything that held my attention. Wasn't really anything that kept me going back and listening for more. It almost felt like a chore having to listen through the entire album. It is a longer album, it's 21 tracks, so it was a lot of music to go through, and not all of it was what I had hoped it would be. I just did my review on Harder Than My Demons, and that track is a perfect example of what the album really is. It's just, there's a few good parts and then there's a few bad parts, but the majority of it is just so-so, which is really unfortunate because I am a big Sean fan. I enjoy his music. He is one of the best lyricists in the game right now, in my opinion, and I just think he kind of dropped the ball with this album. Obviously, he's got some strong lyrics throughout here, but it's just the way he delivers it, the way that he comes across is the same. It's just, I don't know, there's something missing. It feels like there's something missing on this album. It did have a pretty solid list of features. Friday Night Cypher was one of my favorites. It had a bunch of rappers from Detroit getting together. You had a great sense of community, a great sense of that creative feeling in the studio. I really enjoyed the track. Not every rapper on there is mainstream or is known, which I think is another cool thing Big Sean did, as he took a few underground musicians and threw them on a mainstream album. So hopefully it brings some more love to those artists. Detroit's always been one of those places that music is prevalent in everyday life. On top of that, a few of the notable features. Let's see, he had, so we're not going to include the musicians in the Friday Night Cypher. There is like 6, 7, 8 of them alone in that track. But he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. He's got 15 features on this album, which is quite a lot of features for an album. In my opinion, you want to have less features on your album than you do your own songs. And he's got more songs with features on this album than he does his own songs. So it almost kind of feels like it was not rushed or not hastily put together, but it almost feels like he didn't try as hard as he could. He would write a verse, or he would get real creative and have an idea and try to do too much with it. And I got a lot of that from this project. One of the things that really kind of let me down here was Big Sean's got a million different flows that he likes to use. He always switches up his delivery. This track there was so many flow switches that I couldn't concentrate on whether it was what part of the verse I was in or whether I was transitioning into a chorus. It would suck because he would have a really awesome delivery. It would sound really good, but he'd only spit 2 bars on that flow and then switch it up again. So you were never really able to get in the vibe. It didn't really keep me listening. It didn't keep me engaged and want me to go back to that track to listen to it because of that flow. It was kind of a letdown, to be honest with you. This whole album was kind of a letdown. See, I've talked enough smack about this album, so let's go to a few positive things to look at. A couple tracks that I did actually enjoy from here. One thing I thought was really awesome were the interludes that he had. He had an excessive amount of interludes like his features. He had 3 interludes. Granted, it's a 21-track album, so you're going to need a few extra breather moments throughout that album, so I can understand that. It's a little more justifiable than the 15 features. But these interludes were super awesome. Really interesting. These are interludes that I probably wouldn't skip, especially the Dave Chappelle one. It's got a sort of comedic relief to it. One thing that I thought was very cool about that is, I can't remember the band off the top of my head. I want to say Lynyrd Skynyrd, or I want to say it was Skynyrd. I could be wrong, but there was a classic rock band that actually did not have opening musicians. They had comedians open their show instead of musicians. And the reason for that, the mind frame behind that, was comedy is one of those things similar to music where people gather together, they're having a good time, they're laughing and enjoying the ambiance of what's on stage. Having a comedian open up for you before your set gets people loose, it gets them happy, they've been laughing all night, so they're already in a good mood. And I think that's what Big Sean was really trying to do right here, is he was trying to provide a little bit of comedic relief to people listening to the track, to kind of take a deep breath, take some of the darker parts of the message away in that one certain instance. Kudos to Big Sean on those. He also has Stevie Wonder on the other one. But the features he had on here, he had people like Lil Wayne, Travis Scott, Nipsey Hussle. Rest in peace, Nipsey. Post Malone, Jenny Echo, Anderson .Paak, Wale was on here. T Grizzly was in on that Detroit Cypher, as well as Eminem. I mean, it's absolutely insane, the list of people that he has on here. And I have missed several big name musicians. I know that there is just so many people on this project. It's hard to keep track of them all and remember who's in what song and who's working with who, because it, at the end of the day, is just a giant cluster. The song Wolves with Post Malone, I think, is going to be one of the songs on there that goes mainstream. I think that's going to be one of the songs that you'll hear playing on the radio. Big Sean did a great job executing the chorus. He sounded very good in it. You got the gritty, grimy, kind of dark feel that he was going for with the style of delivery. However, I would have liked to hear Post Malone do the chorus throughout the entire song, or maybe both of them sing the chorus at the same time. I thought after Posty's verse, when they were both rapping the chorus, that it sounded very good, and I think those higher frequencies would have sounded better over Big Sean's lower part of his voice throughout the whole song. But that's my only critique with that one. That's probably the song I have downloaded and listened to the most. Same with the track with Nipsey Hussle, Deep Reverence. That one, it was very surreal for me to hear Nipsey's voice. It was one of the first songs that I hadn't heard from him before, that I have listened to since his passing, and it was just kind of like it was with Mac Miller. It was a very surreal feeling to hear their voice and know that they are no longer with us, but their spirit carries on through the music. Oh, I just got chills thinking about that right now. But I thought Nipsey's verse was awesome. I mean, who isn't going to think Nipsey's GOAT right now? Obviously, he's always had bars, but his music's been brought to light a little bit more since his passing, and people are starting to realize that this dude was legit. He did it all by himself. I think that they worked very well on that track together. Big Sean, I think at the end of one of the songs, I think there's a little skit, and they talk about some of the features on this album. And I think it might have been Nipsey's voice. I could be wrong, but they talk about the features with working with Big Sean, working with Nipsey, and it was kind of cool to hear. Body Language with Jenny Echo, Ty Dolla $ign. Honestly, Jenny Echo's verse got me feeling some type of way. Really, anytime she sings, it's like, ooh. I think Ty Dolla $ign completely ruined this track. I don't know why he was on there. He only had like 4 bars at the end of a chorus in the entire song. So I felt like it was just Big Sean's attempt to get another big name on the album to draw more attention to that one song than it was to actually incorporate his style of music into the project. It sounds very off from what Jenny and what Big Sean are doing. His I don't even know what to call it. It's not even like a bridge. It's not even really like a verse. I guess it's at the end of the chorus, but every time you hear Ty Dolla $ign, you assume he's going to go into a verse, or you assume he's going to sing more than 4 bars. And the 4 bars aren't even good. I don't know. I was just like, I thought it would have been much better without him on the track. There are a few tracks where Sean does show a little bit of diversity in his style. Missing is one of those tracks, especially in the chorus. He does a great job singing. You don't hear him do that a lot, so I think it was really cool that he diversified himself in that sense. But he needs to do more of that. Honestly, every song sounded like something from his last album. I got bounce back vibes on like 85% of the tracks. And I know that's mainly has to do with the instrumental, and just Big Sean's voice in general sounds that way. So, or it sounds a certain way over those type of instrumentals, and it always brings me back to Bounce Back. I wish he would have diversified himself more throughout this album. I wish he wouldn't have done so many flow switches. I wish he would have cut down on the number of features, even though there are some iconic names and a very creative track on this project. I just think he could have done a whole lot better, especially for who he is. He's been doing this for a long time. He understands the industry. He knows what people like, and this project feels like it was slapped together, and it feels like there was no real thought or effort put into it throughout the entire process of it. You do have certain parts of the tracks or certain parts of the project that do feel like there was a lot more time spent on them than on the other ones. In a album with 21 songs, to only have 2 or 3 tracks that are real bangers is almost a waste of time, in my opinion. I don't mean to come down so hard on Big Sean. After I heard Harder Than My Demons, I was a little upset with the direction that he was going, and it's clear that on this album that was the direction he was taking, and it was the direction he had been taking for a while. I'm hoping to see a different Big Sean in the future. I'm hoping to see somebody who learns and grows like he has throughout his entire career. Or if you look at his early stuff with Old Wiz on the mixtapes that they worked together on, and then you compare him to now, there has been a tremendous amount of growth as a musician. And I think once you reach that certain part, you have to keep growing. You can't stop and stay stagnant, and it feels like he's been stagnant for 5 years now. Big Sean, you probably won't hear this, but if you do, you gotta mix it up, my man. Anyways, that does it for my album review on Big Sean's Detroit 2. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos. If you have any tips, tricks, disagree with my Big Sean review, or agree with it, go ahead, leave them down in the comments. Let me know what you think. I'd also really appreciate if you guys could click that subscribe button, whichever side it's on. One of these days, I'll figure it out. I promise. Anyways, thank you guys so much. Till next time. Peace.